Thanks so much for having me, and thank you, Rose, for putting on this incredible event. It's really wonderful to see so many people in the room who care about urban food production. My name is Lydia Sission, and I'm the co-founder of Mill City Growth. I want to just take a moment to tell you what I'm going to talk about. I'm going to give you a little bit of our history, but I'm really going to focus on our urban farm and mobile market and how we use them as a tool for urban food access. 4.5 years ago, Francie Slater and I talked about urban farming in Lowell as an idea over coffee. We both commuted out of Lowell. I was running a small organic vegetable farm, a CSA, and she was working in school gardens in Cambridge. We really didn't know how to get this started, so we went and talked to the city of Lowell, and they said, oh, that's a really interesting idea. And then we kind of both had some radio silence, and a couple months later, we got a call from the Department of Planning and Development, and they said, we have a neighborhood group, they're really interested in starting a community garden, will you come look at the site? And we jumped on it and said, of course we will. And from then on, Mill City Grows was really born in partnership with the city of Lowell, as well as all the different neighborhood groups and communities in Lowell. We've really been able to grow an organization that's focused on food access and food justice in the city. We are working to improve physical health, economic independence, and our environment in the city of Lowell, and we're really excited to tell you a little bit about our history and how we've come to fruition. So in 2012, we started with one community garden in a very, very small park and launched our first educational program. We are a nonprofit, and I just want to make that clear before I go on. And then in 2013, we added 2 new community gardens and began our first urban farm site. We also started a school garden, and we created a leadership educational program for the winter so that we can train volunteer garden coordinators to help coordinate these spaces. In 2014, we became a Food Corps service member site, which has revolutionized our school programming and has been a really wonderful opportunity for us. We built our first mobile market, thankfully with support from the Massachusetts Department of Agricultural Resources. And we also included a second urban farm site, which is a much larger site. It's owned by the city of Lowell, and it's a little under 4 acres. So, Mill City Grows believes that vacant, underused lots can be a space for community development and urban food production. We see any space that maybe looks a little bit like this as an opportunity. We have this model of transformation, infusing lots with gardens or farms and people really creates a change in the neighborhood. So we work to build community gardens, urban farms, and school gardens in non-buildable lots, particularly city-owned lots, as well as private lots. We always infuse them with education as well as food access points, like our mobile market, as a way to really bring vibrancy. So in 4.5 years, we are now, hopefully once the snow melts, I know everyone is eager in this room, we'll be installing our 4th community garden. We'll have 136 garden beds throughout the city, and that supports 450 individuals. We have 11 languages spoken in our gardens, and 65% of our gardeners are low or very low income. We also have 2 urban farm sites that are a little over 3.5 acres in total. This year we're hoping to grow about 15,000 pounds of produce on those sites, but we'll be only growing on 1 acre and 1/8 this year. As of April, we'll have 6 school garden sites at Lowell Public Schools, and we have helped to install 9 different gardens at partner organizations in the past 2 years. So, I don't think many of you can see this, but this is a really overgrown lot, and this is our first urban farm site. It's an 1/8 of an acre in downtown Lowell. It's right across the street from the Lowell Transitional Living Center, and it's actually a privately owned lot. We're working with a private landowner here who had this space, didn't have a plan for it currently, and contacted us and asked us to put an urban farm there. Our idea of an urban farm is that it's an educational production farm. So our main goal is to produce a large quantity of food using sustainable organic farming practices, but we also use these spaces for education. So this lot that's overgrown now looks a lot like this when it's sunny and warm out. We grow thousands of pounds of food on this very, very small space, but we also run our youth food justice program here. So youth are coming here throughout the summer. We host all of our gardener training program workshops here. So gardeners are coming to learn safe and productive urban growing techniques on remediated spaces. And we also, now on our 3.5 acre site, bring hundreds of volunteers a year. users so that they can really touch our local food system and understand where their food is coming from. We have partnerships with many youth organizations throughout the city that bring their youth to our farms. They learn about agriculture and food access, and they're also learning about production, growing. So a couple things I wanted to talk to you about what makes our model interesting is that we are a nonprofit, and this urban farm is our social enterprise. It is actually a revenue-generating component of our nonprofit. So we do count on and rely on this revenue to support our programs. This helps us become slightly more independent and not as reliant on grants, but it also, for us, is proving that agriculture is a model that is a viable economic model for our community. Thanks to our second grant from the Massachusetts Department of Agriculture, we've been able to implement a ton of season extension this year. We got to launch Lowell's first winter market, which we're very, very excited about. And we've been growing under low tunnels in our greenhouse, doing a lot of microgreens, but we're also investing in hoop houses, as well as some intensive soil fertility management plans, because if you're growing year-round, you're really working your soil pretty hard, and we've got to figure out how to sustain that. Our mobile market is our main mode of distribution, so all the food that we grow on these sites travels around the city. Last year we had 6 different stops, and we focus on low-income areas and low-access areas, as well as health centers, hospitals, senior facilities. So we really try to go around the entire city, meeting people where they are. So last year we launched a Market Bucks program, doubling WIC senior and SNAP coupon users, and we also are this year looking into a Veggie RX program with the local health center. This year we'll also expand to 8 different sites with our mobile market, so it's on the road a lot and it's distributing thousands of pounds of food. I want to be clear though, we can't grow everything in the city, and so we partner with a ton of local farms in the area to bring in other crops, so we're always carrying fruit from Carlson's orchard or other orchards in the area. We partner with Farmer Dave to make sure that we have staple crops. And we work with other area growers to make sure that we're providing a really well-rounded amount of produce. We do focus specifically on culturally appropriate food. We have the 2nd largest Cambodian population in the US, and so we really do focus on making sure that people are able to access the food that they want to eat, not just what we're bringing to them. So So just a little bit about our social enterprise. In 2013, we were growing on 1/8 of an acre. We grossed $12,000 and distributed 3,000 pounds of produce. In 2014, we were growing on 5/8 of an acre. We grossed $30,000 and distributed 10,000 pounds of produce. This year, we're going to be growing on 1 acre and 1/8, and we're working to generate $75,000 an acre. This requires a ton of intensive fertility management for us because we're doing so many multiple croppings in our areas. And as you all know, in an urban setting, your land is very limited. So we're having to use quite a few innovative systems, including season extension, to be able to accomplish this. A social enterprise is really based on having multiple bottom lines. So we're meeting the needs of our low-income population while generating revenue for our operations and creating new markets for our local food system. I know I need to hurry up, sorry Rose. So I just want to be clear that in order to run a social enterprise with our nonprofit, our mission is really, really core to our work. And what we believe local food does and urban food production does is that it brings people together and brings them closer to their food system. That means that it's engaging them in making healthy choices. It's engaging them in understanding where their food is coming from, but more importantly, it's empowering local residents to become their own agents of change within their community. Our community garden program has truly transformed the way I think about agriculture. Before starting Mill City Grows, I would have been happy sitting on a tractor all day long, but now I understand that people are really the heart of agriculture. They're the reason why we're growing food. And so when I look at our gardeners and see how excited they are to grow lemongrass, a crop that they used to only be able to access at a couple different stores since moving to Lowell from Cambodia, I know that urban agriculture is truly making a difference in their lives. I know that what we're trying to do is bring our food system closer to home, and in the urban setting, it's really, really important that we acknowledge all the other social impacts of agriculture. So I want to thank you guys. I also really need to tell you to talk to Giovanni Baez from the City of Lowell if you're interested in the community garden program. She has worked so diligently with us to create this and is just an incredible resource for other communities that are looking for community garden programs. We could not do this without them. They help us every step of the way and still have not turned us away. I don't know why, but thank you. So, thanks guys.